Well, hey, this is Dr. Rhonda. I am so excited that you're here with me for yet another edition of Empowered Heart to Heart. It is so great to have you with us. I tell you, I've said it time and time again that I have met some of the best people this side of heaven. And today is no exception. You know, for the month of July, we've been talking about uh, the transformation blueprint, what it takes to bring lasting change. And we've been talking about mindset and execution and accountability, and because it takes all of that. And I am excited today because I have a special guest here today that we're going to be discussing the power of execution, being able to carry out your plans. If you're like me, I have no problems making plans. It's what I do. I love writing things down. I love seeing it on the list, even if I've already done it, so I can just cross it off. I know there's got to be a therapy session for that. However, I am going to be interviewing a therapist today, so maybe I'll learn something. I'm super excited. But before we jump into the interview, I want to encourage you, if you are watching us on our YouTube channel, make sure that you like, comment, and share this video with your friends, and subscribe so that you'll know every single time that I have posted a new video, and hit that notification button as well. And if you're on social media, like who is it nowadays? Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Our handle is TSEFIORG. That's the short version for the Simmons Empowerment Foundation Incorporated. And so I am so excited because we have an opportunity to learn something. I don't know about you, but change is hard. It's hard. And yes, I know for those of you that change comes easily too, I've never met you. But for the rest of us mere mortals, change can be hard. Not impossible, but it can be hard. And so that's why we talk to people within the helping professions to give us some insight on how to navigate this thing called life and make it through changes. And so here today, I am so super excited because I have a special guest here today. Her name is Miss Stacey Johnson. She is a clinical therapist and women's empowerment coach, and she is trained in mindfulness and EFT-Tapping. That's exciting. She helps high achieving women. Woo! Okay. I'm claiming that today. She helps high achieving women break free from overthinking and burnout. Oh my goodness, that's a whole sermon right there. But she helps high achieving women break free from overthinking and burnout and stress. Stacey empowers clients to reclaim their presence, enhance their well-being, and thrive personally and professionally. And she provides strategies to overcome headaches, sleep deprivation. Okay, if you're listening to the podcast, I just raised my hand on that one. And lack of concentration. So I'm telling you, you want to stay in the room. Don't switch to another podcast or YouTube channel right now. You want to be here because I am so glad to have Miss Stacey Johnson join us today. Hello, Stacey. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Dr. Rhonda.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. I know you have a very busy practice, and so I appreciate every minute that you have to spare.
Thank you.
So I just have to ask, how did you arrive at this specific niche in your career path? How did you get here?
Well, I was one of those women. About 15 years ago, I was, working in an alternative school. My kids were younger. And so they were in sports and activities after school. And I was just running. I was on autopilot. I was going every day. I'd bring the stress home from work. I was, running from one thing to another. Someone would ask, hey, we need this done for the bake sale. Oh, sure, I'll do it. And I just kept saying yes to everything. And one day I was like, well, and every evening, someone would ask me what was for dinner. I would get irritated. Some nights I would yell about it. kids would say, oh, I forgot I need this assignment done, or I need this for tomorrow. We need to go to the store. Oh, and I get all irritated and mad. And I would yell more often. My husband asked me, why are you always angry? And I'm like, I'm not angry. And then I started seeing my kids not respond well to stress. And then I realized that, like, oh, I'm not doing well in modeling how to manage stress and burnout and being overwhelmed. So I took a look at myself, and I went back through all of the trainings that I've gone to be a therapist. And because I have to renew my license every couple of years. So I went back through some of my trainings, and I was like, oh, I'm a high achieving woman, and I need to take a step back and take some, do some inner work to stop this cycle. And so I did. And then I started, helping some friends of mine with it. And then a couple years ago, my husband passed away, and I started doing some clinical work to bring in some extra income for us. So I was doing some telehealth, and every woman that was coming to me was the same description. And so I said, you know what? I want to take this beyond where I can do licensing, and decided to take it on to Women Empowerment Coach, because I just want to help as many women as I can be able to, stop this burnout cycle, learn the skills to live a life that they are not overwhelmed, that they know how to manage their day in and day out stress, and be the best woman that they could be as a mother, as a wife, as just themselves. And so that's where I'm at.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. And wow. There's so much going through my mind right now, Stacey. You have no idea how much I can relate to every single word you said. Oh my goodness. Because I think as women, it's kind of in our DNA to be Wonder Woman. I guess we figure, if we can carry the babies within, we can carry them without, and, the groceries and our purse and, everything else, and not drop a single thing.
Right. Right.
Oh my goodness. Well, first, I do want to say I am so sorry for the loss of your husband. I can't
Thank you.
imagine the grief that you have experienced, and probably continue, because grief is not something that you just, have a set time to deal with, and, okay, I'm over it.
Right.
There is no over it.
Right. Right.
And so I am sorry for that. But I love how resilient you are. How did that resilience keep you going during your years of grief, with your children and everything else?
That is a very good question. And I think it's all the training that I did do, and I got myself, because, yeah, I was grieving, but I didn't allow the anxiety that kind of goes along with, because underneath the grief, there's all these other feelings.
Mhm.
And, I started to question, sometimes I was like, what if? And then I'm like, wait, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. And I would stop myself. And I was realizing I was resilient. And I think it was because I have done all that work, and I had the skills to stop some of these overthinking thoughts in its track. I really took a look at things that I can control and things that I couldn't control. And then I also allow myself to sit with the feelings. My feelings are okay to have. Let me sit with them for a minute and recognize like what thought is, like bringing that feeling to the forefront,
Mhm.
and then deal with that. So I think it was all the skills that I had. And then I also use a lot of my self-care techniques. I went back into exercise shortly after he passed away. I do deep breathing during the day. I meditate. I start my day always, I kind of bookend my day. So I start my day with a gratitude check. So I kind of identify 3 things that I'm grateful for. And at the end of the day, I recognize 3 things that I accomplished, big or small, And so starting those kind of routines really helped me get through each day.
Yes, yes. You know, uh, your description alluded to the broad term of mindfulness, and I saw that in your bio. I just got into mindfulness within the last maybe 2 years because it was a part of my Fitbit premium subscription. And I was blown away, because I didn't know what it was. I thought, oh my goodness, is someone about to start chanting over me? Or, I didn't know what was going to happen. So for those of us who are new to mindfulness or don't know what it is, or just getting started, can you explain what mindfulness is and what it is not?
Yes. So mindfulness is really um, just a way to kind of ground yourself in the moment. It can be as simple as just kind of doing a check to kind of see from your body, like going from your toes all the way up to kind of like see where any of the sensations are for your feelings or your just any tension that you might be having. It is, it can be visualizations. And, I always use this one because it's so simple for people to like really use it because we're all familiar with our senses. And so using senses to kind of help you ground yourself. So taking that moment to be like, okay, what do I see in the moment? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? And so and when we take those moments to kind of, it distracts our mind enough to help us realize like what is going on right now, especially for people that are anxious. Their thoughts come in there. I mean, well, all of us do. We have like 64,000 thoughts a day, and up to like 80% of them are not helpful. And so if we are overthinkers, those thoughts can really get in the way of us making decisions, concentrating, focusing on other things. And so mindfulness allows us to focus on what is going on in that moment versus all the thoughts that may be coming in from the past or these future thoughts of like, what if? And so mindfulness gets ourselves grounded. And so, like, taking that moment to just, even, I tell women that, especially since the pandemic, we seem to have more people working from home and there's no division between like work and home. And we're not necessarily maybe taking those lunch breaks that you used to maybe take when you were in a brick and mortar building. So taking that moment to get away from your desk, stepping outside and taking in the sounds of the birds, the trees rustling, the sunshine on your neck, you know, the wind blowing, anything, the smell of grass being cut, all those things can kind of get you grounded in that moment. And then you clear your mind of the things that you may have been overthinking.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that was fabulous. And so in the introduction to our podcast episode today, I talked about how change is hard, not impossible, but hard.
Mhm.
And you indicated that with all that you do, between mindfulness, execution, and accountability, you thrive in the field of execution. So, how do we break cycles to start something new? I mean, because I think it may be safe to assume that the majority of high achieving women, we want peace, we want balance,
Mhm.
but how do we break the cycle?
Yes, it's consistency. It really is consistency. There's, if we, because right now, a lot of us run on autopilot. And that autopilot is typically our subconscious part of our brain that's doing the thinking. Just like when you learned how to brush your teeth when you were a child, Someone had to teach you how to do it. And then as you got used to doing it because you did it every night or twice a day, you don't think in the mornings when you brush your teeth, okay, I need to go this way, I need to go that way. It's the same thing. It becomes a part of your routine. So part of change is doing something over and over again. So when I teach my clients, especially incorporating mindfulness, I will tell them to start trying to do one of the exercises that I, will demonstrate at least once a day, if not twice a day. It's just a change. Again, change is hard, but it's consistency. And over time, those become part of our routine. And now that's part of our autopilot. But there are autopilot that makes us feel better.
Yes, absolutely. You know, in the broad field of the helping professions that you and I are in as coaches, um, it's very easy to take on the burdens of your clients if you're
Mhm.
not trained in how to not do that. Um, and so, in all that you went through in your personal life, how did you know you were healed enough to help someone else?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. But I mean, I have my own ways of kind of decompressing from the day, So when I, turn off the computer or say good night to clients, I take care of myself. I will do some deep breathing before I kind of exit my room, my office, and before I go into, dealing with my kids or taking on, since my husband's passed, there's so many more household chores that I've had to take on. And so, I've just the self-care for myself, so I do really try hard to practice the things that I teach to my clients in regards to self-care. I am a huge fan of self-care in regards to either just taking deep breaths, going to my exercise class, because self-care does not have to be all about like manicures and massages. It's incorporating something that brings you joy at least 5 minutes a day. And so I will practice my own self-care.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Wow. I tell you, Stacey, you are an amazing, high achieving woman.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you being here today. Um, I see that you offer a 90-day coaching program, and you have a free resource titled Discover Powerful Strategies to Manage and Reduce Anxiety Symptoms.
Yes,
And I'm going to put the link to that in the description around the video and the podcast. And this is a free resource that anyone can access. Is that correct?
correct.
Oh, wonderful! That is wonderful. Well, as we wrap up this session today, Stacey, um, I have two questions. My
Sure.
first question is the word empowerment is one of our core values, and I always like to ask our interviewees, what does that word mean to you?
Empowerment to me means, being able to just achieve and, thrive, just being a better person than you were yesterday. And so I give you the skills to kind of just be that better person than you were.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And if you could send a letter to your younger self, what would it be? What would you tell her?
I would tell her that learn the skills before you have children, and before you had all these things. I wish I would have done, the things that, because that is one of my regrets, is that I spent a good quality of my parenting, my younger children's lives, irritated and frustrated and overwhelmed, and wasn't taking care of myself enough. that I demonstrated poor communication skills, poor just not managing my stress well. And so I wish I would have learned, went back and used all my trainings in, my early 30s.
Okay. Well, that's good. I tell you, we all could sum up so much of our lives by saying, if I knew then what I know now.
Right, right.
I tell you, and I am convinced that we all will make that statement at least 3 times between here and the nursing home. Because I tell you, I can just look back at decisions I made, things that I did, and
Hmm.
I remember working. I, I mean, I think I'm still a workaholic, but I remember working overtime till past midnight. Just mm, mm,
Hmm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
for what?
Right. Right. Yeah.
For what? And so I am so excited that you were able to be with us today, and to share some insights about the power of mindfulness and self-care and consistency in those things. Those were my big takeaways from what you shared today, because I'm guilty of starting things, but the consistency piece, I'm still working on it. And so I'm glad that there are great coaches like you to help us, and I really appreciate your time. And if you'll hang out just for a few seconds before, as I wrap up the episode, I'll be right back with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show. Wow, that was so powerful. Listening to Stacey talk just made me want to hear more, and made me want to dive deeper and find out what else can I be doing to make my life simpler and easier. Because the one thing Stacey didn't say is that with all of these strategies that she has in her toolbox, so to speak, to share with us, none of them are going to keep life from lifing. None of them are going to keep things from happening to us. Life is life, and we will all face crises from time to time. But having the strategies in place ahead of time to know what to do in the time of stress is important. It really is. I don't know about you, but I don't want to uh, live to work. I want to choose to work so that I can enjoy the life that I want. And so it's time to have a mindset shift. It's time to start executing those self-care strategies and mindfulness strategies that Stacey was referring to, because we want to be in this thing called life for the long haul. We want to see our children grow up and our grandchildren grow up, and we want to have a positive quality of life. That's important. However long our lives may be, we want a good quality of life. And so reach out to Stacey when you're ready to go to the next level, and when you're tired of where you are and what's been happening, and not having the strategies and tools in place to get you through those tough times. Reach out to Stacey. She'll be able to help you. And until the next time, be blessed, be encouraged, but most of all, be empowered. And I'll see you next time on Empowered Heart to Heart.